I don't know if you've ever noticed, watching some outtakes or bloopers of series or movies, that the actors, even when they make a mistake, remain in character for a few seconds more. Now, most of the time it's unusable, but sometimes they not only save the scene, they actually improve it. Subscribe to the channel if you like this content, and now, let the show begin. Heath Ledger in Batman: The Dark Knight. It seems to be pretty clear that the Australian actor's Joker struck a deep, deep chord, overshadowing Batman and making him into the one who was supposed to be the bad guy, now into the one who's most beloved. Now, during the film, Ledger was able to improvise quite a few times, since the Joker as a character leaves a lot of freedom to do so. Plus, there was the fact that the other actors were looking at him, not really knowing what to expect. It all went to make him more authentic. Like that clapping moment that you've seen in so many GIFs. In the script, he didn't even appear in that scene. In fact, in the popular interrogation in the movie, after a short conversation, Batman gets desperate and starts hitting him. Ledger, during that scene, asked Christian Bale to hit him for real. Not with all his strength, of course, but enough to feel the real blow and make his reaction even more authentic. Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver. The cinematic giant Bob De Niro not only improvised the most famous scene of the movie Taxi Driver, but he went on to create the most famous scene practically in all of cinema. It's one of those scenes where people imitate and do the voice, they do the line, but they don't really know which movie it's from. That shot of Travis talking to himself in the mirror was made to leave De Niro enough room for freedom to say whatever he wanted. That's why, in the same script, it only specified that he was talking to himself in the mirror without specifying what he had to say or do. After a few takes, he'd not only nailed it, but he'd created the legendary line, "Are you talking to me?" Yes, unforgettable, isn't it? A moment that has been used ever since as a tribute to Robert De Niro in all kinds of films. Even the man himself has parodied that line in several films. Leave a like for the video. Do it now, if you didn't know this funny anecdote. Leonardo DiCaprio in Django Unchained. Another of Scorsese's fetish actors who, at the time, had to carry the meme of not having an Oscar, despite how incredible some of his films actually were. And he scored a pretty impressive improvisation in Tarantino's film. We're referring to the scene where his character is having dinner and then telling everyone a little bit about his crazy ideas. And during that speech, there's a moment that he delivers a blow to the table with his hand, and he got so into character that he didn't care that he cut himself with the glass shards that were there. He continued as if nothing had happened. Now, when I saw this some time ago, the first thing I thought was, what a shame it would be if the other actors hadn't played along. I mean, as soon as they saw the blood, would they stop and ask if he was okay or call cut? Would they fuck up the shot? It would all have been for nothing. In any case, they all continued with their lines. I imagine that in acting there must be an unwritten law saying that if your partner is improvising, play along, because if you do fuck up the shot, you might find a knife in your neck. I've seen this scene so many times that really I'm not sure to what extent Leonardo intended it to happen. Perhaps he wanted to cut himself that way. I mean, when he gives that blow, he knows perfectly well there's a glass. But before giving the slap, he actually looks at the table. Well, regardless, it could not have turned out better. Steve Carell in The 40-Year-Old Virgin. In this movie, the actors improvise the part where they're playing the console and then start fighting to see who is the gayest. The scene only had 2 sentences for each of them, but at the time they got excited, and so they decided to make it a little longer. In the extended version, you can see how they continue the fight inside the car, a scene that was also improvised, so let no one say that comedians are not great actors. Of course, the scene lasts 3 minutes, with each one saying why he thinks the other one is gay. It's also said that that scene where the main character goes to shave is improvised too. And it doesn't seem that strange to me, but seriously, the actor Steve Carell, does he have that much hair on his chest? Well, in the interest of research, I tried to see if he does have chest hair, but after 5 hours of looking online for naked pictures of him, well, I had to stop. I was starting to feel a little weird. David Patrick Kelly in The Warriors. In one shot, the director of this cult film told the actor, David Patrick Kelly, that he could do whatever he wanted. The script only said that in this scene, Luther had to drive around in the Cadillac and scare the warriors. In principle, it was just that, as simple as that. The director gave him freedom to do whatever he wanted, but of course he didn't have a fixed idea of how to do it. The situation seemed like there wouldn't be many options, not a lot of freedom for him, perhaps a glance here, a glance there, and a few lines. But Kelly did something different. He picked up 3 glass bottles and he started singing. It stuck in people's memories and became one of the most famous moments in the film. Ari Aster in Full Metal Jacket. Now, you've all seen this mythical scene where the sergeant yells at the soldier as if he were an old-time father punishing his son for having smoked joints in high school. Actor Ari Aster was given 40 minutes of footage for the sergeant to go around saying things. He had it easy, really, because it turns out that he actually had been a sergeant, and so it was quite simple for him to get into that role. He just had to do what he'd always done, maybe with a little more humour, but certainly he was not lacking in insult material, not at all. It was precisely for that reason that director Stanley Kubrick hired him in the first place, initially as a consultant, to help him make the film more realistic. But once Stanley saw how he was, he made him do a screen test, and so Ari Aster got the role. And the truth is that he left us with some very memorable phrases, all of which were totally improvised. Jennifer Lopez in The Boy Next Door. In this 2015 film, Jen plays a literature teacher, the same role she'd played in Jack 20 years earlier. But now, instead of being a tender young girl teaching kids, now she was a real cougar teaching 20-year-old guys something totally hormonal. No, one of them was the actor Ryan Guzman, who came to the neighborhood as her son's new student and friend. The classic muscle-bound handyman bully who helped Jenny fix all kinds of appliances and clean her pipes whenever he could. Lopez was so devoted to the role that in a beautiful scene with Ryan, she even improvised all kinds of kisses and cuddles. She was so motivated that years later she assured us all that playing this role of "Ain't Your Mama, I'm Your Cougar" helped her to land Ben Affleck with a famous contract, where the actor of Argo and Armageddon has to provide Jennifer's particular Armageddon every day. We certainly love it when actors get into the role as much as Jennifer does. Let us know in the comments what you like the most about Jennifer Lopez, and while you're here, check out the video on the screen. You are sure to love it.